In the Battletech lore and narrative, the Lance is the core combat unit for mechs. And within that narrative, of course, there's an assault lance, a support lance, a recon lance, different configurations. But for the sake of our game, 4 mechs on the table. Now, to sidebar for a moment, that's a recommendation. That's playing in the lore. You could play with 2 mechs, 6 mechs, 4 mechs. You could have really whatever configuration that you want. But this idea of taking 4 machines, there's some tactica to that. How to work effectively as a lance. Now, we're going to put aside for a moment recon lance, assault lance, support lance. We're looking at a generalized lance. 4 mechs that have a little bit of everything. Maybe you're looking at a light, a medium, 2 heavies. Maybe you're looking at a light, 2 mediums, 1 heavy. But that configuration where there's a number of primary weapons and secondary weapons, meaning you've got a couple of LRMs, you've got some PPCs, some autocannons, some medium lasers, small lasers. You've got a grouping of 4 different machines with different range bands. So what we're looking to do, the first thing is, and this is kind of Wargaming Tactics 101, but it's very important. In Battletech, due to initiative, we want to make sure that a machine does not get isolated. Meaning, if I've got 3 mechs moving up, don't take one off and go to the far side of the hex map. Don't break off and have a machine do something on its own, because then it can be isolated and destroyed with impunity. Then you're down an initiative slot. That's huge. That's why one of the reasons losing a mech is very powerful in Battletech, and to a secondary degree a unit, because now you're down an initiative. Look, both my legs are blown off, an arm's blown off. I got an engine hit. I'm smoking. I'm overheating. I'm propped up, firing off a medium laser. I'm still in the game. Initiative. That machine stays right there. So you need to stay close to each other. And the reason for that is, if you think about just any hex map that comes to mind, put down 4 mechs, spacing side by side, 2 or 3 hexes, spacing forward back 1 or 2, unless it's a light mech. We'll talk about that in a moment. There's this idea of a projection, an area that you can shoot out. Anything that comes into that area, in theory, gets lit up. So what would my lance look like? I'm just throwing this together. 2 Marauders, because I love Marauders, Hunchback, and say a Jenner. Just machines that come to mind. So what this means is, if a target approaches an opponent mech or a vehicle, if they're going to fire at one of my mechs, that means the long-range weapons of all my machines, of my Marauders, can overlap and fire everything into them. You're not going to get away for free. If you're going to take a shot at me, I'm going to be able to take a shot at you. Where if I just send that Jenner, so we're advancing up the table, I send the Jenner off to the side, up the flank. Not a bad plan, but it's unsupported. If you're able to send some machines over or some vehicles and now fire on that Jenner, only the Jenner can fire back. And if you can catch me at long range, you'll be shooting on the Jenner essentially for free, whether you hit or not. There's no consequence. So by sticking together and having overlapping fields of fire, anything that comes in there, you're going to light up. You're going to take care of. So this is really, really important. The Wingman effect, right? Wings of Glory, fantastic World War I combat game. X-Wing miniatures. Rule 101, always stick together. Your Wingman, always stick together. Now, of course, in Battletech, you're a little bit more involved because your Wingman's actually shooting and doing stuff, but always sticking together. Now, in terms of targets, what we're looking to do, and this sidebars into some mechs, looking at the Marauder. Marauder is great because it has 2 PPCs to fire at range. If it just had 1, or if it just had an autocannon, then I fire that, I may hit, I may miss. If I have 2, it increases my chances of hitting. So what we're looking to do by having a machine mechs that can overlap, you can, in that weapons range band, fire as many things as possible. So instead of just one machine hitting back, I could fire my Marauders. When we get closer, now I'm firing Marauders, medium lasers, Hunchback, medium laser, Jenner, medium lasers. That's a lot of firepower. And you want to focus those 4 machines as best you can on a single target. Focus, fire, eliminate, destroy. Move on to the next. Modified by terrain, modified by other things, of course. Secondary tactic with light mechs. Now, light mechs are very vulnerable. They don't have a lot of armor, not a high tonnage of battle value to buy in. If you're running a light mech in a mixed lance, so it's not a recon lance, you want to pull back a little bit. You want to stay in that hex band if my machines are there, 3 or 4 hexes back. I have the speed to immediately zoom up if there's a target of opportunity. Like that Jenner is going to pull back a little bit, hang back. I don't want to get lit up. Or at least if you're really going to push deep to try and light up my Jenner, you're going to be in range for absolutely everything else. And from that perspective, what that means is when the Jenner comes into range to move out, I have enough speed that I can zip forward. So the light mechs do want to trail a little bit behind, but they're ready to zip out. Working as a lance, sticking together, maximizing those fields of fire, maximizing that overlap. Don't break off. Don't send 2 to one place, 2 to another. Don't peel off one. Don't advance one really far and hang back with everything else. You need to work together. You need to stick together absolutely as best as you can.